She's playing against Ryan Kierstead. He is playing 4-color control. And this is kind of similar to the decks that we're starting to see here. These 4-color control decks. Trendy decks, I think these are originating in the European Legacy scene. It is a evolution, I think, of the Reduke deck lists. Lighter on mana, so he's got 4 Deathrite Shamans, but then plays 4 Baleful Strixes, some True Names, Snapcasters, Leovolds, uses 2 copies of Jace, and then this is really the hallmark here, 2 copies of Kolaghan's Command.
And the difference in philosophy between these 4-color, these Sultai Delver decks, even the Grixis Delver decks, and Emma's Blue-Red Prowess deck, is that in most Delver mirrors, both players are having kind of roles that change as the game progresses. Emma is firmly the aggressor in this matchup, and Ryan is firmly the control player just on the deck registration sheet.
Turn 1 Ponder from Ryan, and a turn 1 Delver of Secrets is the return from Emma. I'm interested to see how this 4-color control deck fares this weekend. I know talking with Joe Lissette yesterday certainly says this is the trendy thing if you're playing Legacy on Magic Online right now. We see a lot of players playing it. I believe Oliver 2 in attendance on the same deck as well. Him, you know, the runner-up in the World Championships last year. Not surprising to see a lot of the grinder-style players, you know, the guys putting in the hours really do favor this list.
And there's a lot to like here. Deathrite Shaman, very powerful. Baleful Strix would be great here on turn 2 against this Delver of Secrets. The only card that I kind of take issue with in this deck is this Night's Whisper. That's
weird. Like, why isn't it Painful Truths?
I'm sure Emma would be thrilled if Ryan cast Night's Whisper here.
So Ryan fetches here 2 colors of mana online. Baleful Strix will draw him a card and says go. Emma tries to flip the Delver. Does it work? It does not. He'll stay as a 1/1. And once again, with Ryan Kierstead's deck, something that's kind of, I'm going to point this out a lot this weekend. We have a 4-color green deck in Legacy, and there's no copies of Tarmogoyf.
Tarmogoyf really kind of falling out of favor, and Fatal Push could certainly be a factor there. The Baleful Strix that are in all these blue-black X decks, that is absolutely a factor. It used to be the case that you were unlucky to queue into the Baleful Strix deck, but it's just too popular right now.
So Emma takes a look at Ryan's hand. 6-card hand, and it's one that's going to match up pretty well against her deck. He's got 2 more lands. That's a Wasteland and a Fetch Land. He has 2 copies of Fatal Push. He has a Deathrite Shaman, and he has a Brainstorm to go with that Fetch Land. It is a pretty nice hand. He's got tools to deal with her deck, and then he has the Brainstorm plus Fetch Land to redo it. Emma's going to Brainstorm here after using the Gitaxian Probe, so she will get to set up the Delver to flip, though on a board against Baleful Strix, when your opponent has 2 Fatal Pushes in hand, I'm not sure I care.
Right, and with the philosophy of Emma's deck, it makes sense that she's not playing True Name Nemesis, but this is the kind of matchup and game where she really wishes that she was.
Yeah, I mean, if she, right, because without True Name Nemesis, you have to actually play the trading creatures for kill spells game, and that's not where she wants to be here. Not against a deck that's playing Night's Whisper, Baleful Strix. Ryan wants that to be the game.
Something that she has that's pretty nice against these fair decks, she does have access to Price of Progress, which can represent a lot of damage. Ryan does have his basic island here, and there's also a basic swamp in the deck. We'll see how he sequences around a potential Price of Progress as the game advances.
Yeah, 2nd Delver here for Emma. She had to use a Fetch Land, so despite Brainstorming, I guess she gets a good Brainstorm where she gets to fetch of it, but the top of the deck is still unknown.
And Emma has written about this deck a couple of times, so Ryan should be cued into the fact that she's on Price of Progress, and Volcanic Island into basic islands certainly suggests that card just abstractly.
Yeah, and I guess I like that Emma is not trying to set up these Delvers. Once she knows about Ryan's hand, like, these things are not good for much damage in this game. They're going to get pushed away.
Trade with the Strix.
One of the difficulties that I kind of have with the Blue-Red Prowess deck is when you look at a card like Brainstorm, we see Ryan casting one here. I think one of the advantages to it is when your deck has a diversity of functional cards. So, you know, you have removal, you have threats, you have card draw. Brainstorm can kind of look at the board and say, which one do I want, shuffle the others away. In Emma's deck, when your deck is basically burn and burn, creatures are just like different burn. It's you're losing some of the value. Like, yes, Brainstorm's still great and we're still playing 4.
Right.
But at that point, Emma's Brainstorms are basically just helping to fix her spell-land ratio, whereas Ryan's Brainstorms are doing so much more.
It's the get-to Brainstorm versus the have-to Brainstorm. Emma has to get rid of some number of these cards in some number of these games.
Right, because once Emma draws like land 4, she just needs to shuffle it away every time. Whereas Ryan's like, oh, now that, you see Fatal pushes away 1 Delver, Emma flips off Lightning Bolt, and then he's, later on, he might brainstorm and like put away go find a Snapcaster, put away something else. Like it's nice. Emma will cast Ponder. So far has been unable to connect, which remember her deck plays out like a burn deck. So this is, despite the fact that the board looks okay, this is a very weak spot for Emma.
She has drawn a lot of cantrips. She does have the potential to just overpower Ryan in a longer game if she can just produce almost no lands while Ryan makes maybe his even 4th land drop from here, and she can just peel threats off the top of her deck. But she does have to play through a lot of interaction to get there.
Yeah, and we're going to see cards, like looking at her list, if you aren't familiar with the Blue Red Prowess list, the creature base is 4 Delver Secrets, 4 Monastery Swift Spear, 3 Storm Chaser Mage, a Vendilion Click, and a Bedlam Reveler. A lot of those cards are going to match up very poorly against Baleful Strix. I mean, they all are there. Then Sunburn, Lightning Bolt, Chain Lightning. You see she'll Chain Lightning away the 1/1 and attack for 3.
The Bedlam Reveler is actually going to be one of her better cards in this
matchup.
You
that's
see
great.
There, she throws Chain Lightning at a Baleful Strix. That's not a very good exchange of resources, but it chips in for some damage. And then in the late game, she can refill a little bit with the Reveler.
Yeah, it's going to force Ryan to use his 2nd Fatal Push, which, assuming he didn't brainstorm it away, and I'd be surprised if he did, he looks like he's going to go ahead and fetch for that.
Okay, and this is telling. We see Ryan picks up bad lands off of his fetch instead of basic swamp. He, of course, needs access to that red mana, but every time he produces a non-basic land, he's a little bit more vulnerable to the price of progress in Emma's deck.
And you see Kierstead fetching on end step there for the bad lands. He has a Fatal Push in hand. He's just choosing not to use that Insectile Aberration here. It's a pretty strong statement to play that way. Kind of saying, yeah, I can give away 3 life points. I guess there are better cards he could be saving it for, I suppose.
Well, one thing about Emma's build of Delver, this Blue-Red Prowess deck, is it's among the least popular Delver variants. It's entirely possible that Ryan just does not have very much experience in this matchup. And we'll see what kind of land he fetches with this Scalding Tarn. He only has 1 basic in his deck, though, so it by virtue of that, has to be a non-basic. So he's very much playing into price of progress.
Yeah.
I bet that he's just not prepared for how quickly Emma can actually just end a game.
Yeah, so he's like, oh, he feels he's not as safe as he thinks he is.
Right. And he's playing a lot like you would if
in
your
a Delver
opponent,
mirror.
exactly, if your opponent might cast something like Leovold coming off. Of course, Emma's mana base does not suggest that that's possible.
Yeah. Leovold is the play from Ryan, but the tip off here should be the card Chain Lightning. That one is only sees play in straight blue-red.
Yeah, it used to be a one-of in Temur Delver. It was the card you were very happy to sideboard out in 95% of your matches.
So I guess you could still, if and this actually happens in legacy tournaments, players show up who haven't played in years. You might think this and say, oh, it's a Temur Delver opponent who just not hitting their green.
Yeah. The basic mountain is pretty telling, though.
On the end step, Emma will Lightning Bolt the Leovold. Ryan draws a card.
To that end, the basic island is also pretty telling, but the basic mountain is a dead giveaway.
Yeah, Temur Delver was only had 6 lands that could make mana generally, and they were all dual lands.
3 volcanic islands, 3 tropic islands, and a wasteland. Some people played a taiga, but it was generally incorrect.
Yeah. The stock build just had the 6 duels and then the wastelands. Emma swings with the Insectile Aberration again. Ryan keeps taking hits off this, and I don't know. I'm concerned there. Now, Emma does actually have days in her hand, so if Ryan had gone for Fatal Push here, it would not have worked out.
And he could just be respecting that, though. I don't
6
understand.
life point,
I don't understand playing Leovold over Fatal Push first.
And we get a draw from Ryan Kierstead. Looks like a copy of Snapcaster Mage, the new Snapcaster Mage, the Modern Masters one.
A lot of people like that art.
It's the 3rd art printing of it, right?
Yes, with the RPTQ promo.
Yeah. You have what? As someone who I'm sure has cast a Snapcaster Mage, what's your go-to?
I, by and large, favor the original art of anything.
Yeah, I would say my favorite art is the RPTQ one. I really like that
It's
one.
my least favorite.
Okay, well that's why it's my favorite.
I might like the Modern Masters one if it was zoomed in a little bit more. It's a little too much background.
You see Ryan respecting some counter spells here. Deathrite Shaman into Fatal Push, leaving up 2 to pay for even a Spell Pierce.
And that Deathrite Shaman can help him gain some life back.
Right. Though I think I would still play the original ones out of respect. I feel like when I play a card that was an Invitational Winners card, I want to play the art that features the Invitational winner. So like my Ranger of Eoses, for example, will always have, you know, I'll play the Ruel ones. Because that's kind of the story behind the card. And
And we saw Emma here in response to the Fatal Push, flashes in Vendilion Click. Ryan goes to show her his hand. Of course, the spell was still on the stack, and she's like, no, please don't. I'm targeting myself. You can do this with Vendilion Click. Wheels a daze to the bottom of her library.
All right. And now we go back. And Emma continues to get 3-power attackers in the air. She's getting a lot of free hits in here. And especially, I want to go back to that Price of Progress, X2 in her deck. Pretty big fan of it right now if she can find one. Ponder shows 3 lands. That's not a tough decision at all.
No, certainly don't need the 5th one of those, the 6th, and absolutely not the 7th.
When I watch Blue-Red Prowess play Ponder and Brainstorm, it feels more like a combo deck in how it makes its decisions.
Well, it's similar to the way that Burn is a combo deck.
Absolutely Burn's a combo deck. If they resolve, 6 spells, they win the game.
And in general, my philosophy on Ponder is ask for more. She has a fetch land, so she can keep a Ponder that has only 1 good card. Of course, that Ponder had 3 blanks.
Yeah, that Ponder was not hard at all. But
easy shuffle.
Yeah, but when a control deck casts Ponder, Emma, of course, draws another land off the Ponder. When a control deck casts Ponder, it's doing a lot of work. Like, if you know, when I see a Merrick Jolisette cast Ponder, it feels very different than this. Emma's hand is land, lightning bolt. The reason you play these cantrips in your burn deck is so that you don't flood on lands. However, you can only do so much. But 1 Brainstorm will fix everything. That's why Brainstorm's great.
Yes.
She's got a fetch land. She's got 2 cards she wants to get rid of. Perfect time for Brainstorm. It's just Ancestral Recall at this point.
Right.
And Emma bolts away the Deathrite Shaman. So Ryan's source of life gain is gone. And I want to count here. Ryan's got 3 non-basics in play. He's got a fetch land.
Fetch land can find basic swamp, but if he cracks it, it's still 1 more point.
Yeah. If 1 more hit off this Vendilion Click and Price of Progress is just lethal.
Looks like he's checking out Snapcaster Mage into Fatal Push here.
All right, he will cast the Snapcaster Mage. Might not be, I mean, might be going for a cantrip here, actually. Yeah, it's interesting. He's going to go for Ponder. Now, he actually had Brainstorm in the yard, but is opting to play Ponder instead.
The Fatal Push is also very attractive because he's already at 8 life.
Yeah, I like that. His hand, I mentioned his hand is I guess his hand is Snapcaster Mage, Force of Will, and another land, a Wasteland.
A Wasteland, yes. Force of Will and Wasteland not particularly strong here.
He's going to draw Abrupt Decay. And this is where his mana, okay, he's got a fetch land, right? And he could fetch to cast the Abrupt Decay, but then he has to get a 4th non-basic, and it would leave him dead to Price of Progress. Emma draws a card for turn.
Looks like a Gataxian Probe.
She's debating whether she wants to use mana or life points to cast it. Yeah, use life points. Whatever.
She's in a spot where she can peel Price of Progress and might have to pay for 2 dazes or something like that.
All right, so Force of Will, Snapcaster Mage, Abrupt Decay, and land from Kierstead. He has Force plus blue card. Fair enough. Emma's going to cast Storm Chaser Mage. I like it. And now Ryan's got to debate what he wants to Abrupt Decay here. Or if he lets it resolve. I'll swing with both. Ryan has, he's got to make a move.
Right. Presumably that Vendilion Click is biting the dust, though. Emma has 2 cards in hand, and Ryan doesn't know to a certainty that they're blanks.
So fetches for a Tropical Island. It looks like he'll Abrupt Decay away the Vendilion Click. He'll take 1, go to 6, but now that he has 4 non-basics in play, he is dead to Price of Progress. Now, that was his 5th land, and he does have Force of Will in hand.
He can just hard cast it at this point.
He can hard cast it.
That would allow him to keep that Snapcaster Mage, which is a very valuable card as well.
Yeah, so what Ryan's play might just be swing for 2, say go, counter something. If not, end step, Snapcaster, kill your Storm Chaser. Emma needs a good draw next turn. You see Ryan picking up a second Force of Will.
Ideally, she would like to draw Brainstorm and have it not get Force of Willed.
Yeah, the issue is if Emma draws a land and Ryan goes end step, Snapcaster, kill spell, then he has 2 copies of Force of Will in hand and 5 mana, he probably just wins.
Right.
He'll just cast them for 5 on whatever card Emma draws. So a big draw is necessary here for Emma. It's something.
It was shiny.
Yeah, it's a foil. Well, it's another land because if you haven't ever watched Emma Handy play on camera before, it's just, ugh. Her cards are allergic to being broadcast.
At least her spells are. Her lands love the camera time.
Except when they hate it.
Yeah.
And you see the swing there, Ryan's going to Snapcaster, Abrupt Decay to kill it, swings for 4, and he's got 2 5-mana counters in hand. And there's no card like Exquisite Firecraft in Emma's main. She draws another land anyway. And that's going to be the game. So game 1 goes over to Ryan Kierstead on 4-color. So Ryan's up a game here. Now, watching that one, I feel like Ryan is inexperienced at this matchup. That Emma had more outs there than I expected her to have, or she had more play.
Right.
Ryan I think gave her some extra life points. He felt like he was a little safer than he actually should have been. Now her deck didn't line up that way. Ryan had it in the end anyway.
Right.
But I want to go to the sideboard then. So Ryan's sideboard, 2 copies of Diabolic Edict, 2 Thoughtseize, 2 Pyroblast, 2 Surgical Extraction, a Grim Lavamancer, an Invasive Surgery, a Flusterstorm, an Umezawa's Jite, a Marsh Casualties, another copy of Abrupt Decay. That would put him up to 3. And then a copy of Recoil. That's a neat one.
That is a spell. That one's going to be more for dealing with enchantments or what have you. Probably a little slow for this matchup. Diabolic Edict seems totally reasonable. It should trade with whatever Emma's up to and any potential true name nemesis, which Ryan hasn't seen, but there's certainly possibly there. Pyroblast kills Delver, counters Brainstorm, kills Storm Chaser Mage, Vendilion Click. This card's really excellent. Grim Lavamancer kills a lot of Emma's threats as well. Good chance to bring in Umezawa's Jite when your opponent's that heavily red to try to gain some life. It's unclear if Ryan is putting Emma on having Young Pyromancer or not. If he suspects that card, then Marsh Casualties is actually pretty powerful. And the Abrupt Decay I expect to come in one way or the other.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? You want to board, it's like, going back, I know I'm repeating this. It's not like you're playing against a Delver deck. It's like you're playing against a Burn deck. Your opponent, Delver decks out of the sideboard go big. And so you'd want like your Painful Truths, your Abrupt Decay, your Diabolic Edict. And Emma's sideboard, she's going to go to cards like Sulfuric Vortex, Exquisite Firecraft. It's the Burn sideboard plan.
Yeah, we go to the sideboard. 2 Firecraft, 2 Surgical Extraction, 2 Sulfuric Vortex, 2 Smash the Smithereens, a Grim Lavamancer, and is it Static Caster, a Submerge, a Flusterstorm, a Price of Progress, a Force of Will, and a Sulfur Elemental. So the extra Price of Progress seems really nice, especially if Ryan fetches the same way in the sideboard
I think it's pretty clear from game 1 that Ryan does not have that card on his radar, and if I was Emma, I would try to capitalize on that.
Right. Grim Lavamancer is totally reasonable, especially if you're facing down Deathrite Shaman. You got to get all of those off the table. Sulfuric Vortex seems pretty good as well. I'm not sure what all matchups Emma brings in Exquisite Firecraft against, but this is a deck with counter spells.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a 4-ball that you can't counter most of the time.
She probably brings it in against Miracles.
Definitely against Miracles.
Yeah, sure, why not? I like it here.
Yeah, I mean, she probably wants to get her Force of Wills out of her deck, stuff like that.
Yeah. Great for a second game. Over StarCityGames.com, we of course have our opens on the weekends, but what does that leave you to do during the weekday? Well, how about Star City Games Game Night? This is our promotion here. It's held at stores around the country. Exclusive pins and tokens given away for winning the local tournaments near you. So these are all given away from our Creature Collection. There's our great artisan house to give away these prizes. This month we're giving away the Fleece Keeper. That's the 0/1 sheep token and pin over at your stores. Next month, you've seen this one. It is the Imperious Perfect. It's our cat or elf warrior that's been being given away. Now I know it's a new month, Ryan, so we have a new gaming token. This is if you get signed up in time, we get you for the June one. It's the Murderous Red Carp, which is our favorite combo player from Pod.
This is okay. Pig Through Time was hard to top, but this might be my new favorite.
So if you get signed up over at starcgames.com/game night, talk to your store owner near you. Say that you want to get signed up, and you can get this. In June, this fish could be yours.
See, what's nice about this one is it's totally possible to accidentally read a murderous red cap as,
and then you see
as a red carp.
And then you see there's an R, and you're like, go away. That fish is bad news.
It's just 2 letters off. Very well executed. Somebody deserves a raise.
Carp are an invasive species a lot of the time too. They're no good.
Bottom feeders.
Yeah. All right, game 2. Both players keeping on 7. Emma is on the play. She is down a game right now. Starts off Monastery Swiftsphere, Delver of Secrets, Chain Lightning, Ryan down to 17.
So you were talking earlier about how this is similar to a burn deck.
Yeah, we have no time for your creatures. This card's just going upstairs.
Yeah. And
Dodge a Spell Pierce.
This strongly suggests that Emma has plans for turn 2 and 3 rolled up. Wouldn't be the least bit surprising to see a turn 3 Sulfuric Vortex with that kind of turn 1 action.
Yeah, something like Storm Chaser Mage maybe on the second turn. This is a really loud play, though. I mean, you see turn 1 Deathrite Shaman from Ryan. And the interesting one, he casts it off Badlands. Badlands deck, kind of, I guess, like Christian Calcano, he's got 4 red cards in his main. It's 2 Lightning Bolt, 2 Kolaghan's Command. And for Emma, Storm Chaser Mage on turn 2 hits Ryan down to 16. You know, Kolaghan's Command is a card, it sees a lot of play in Modern. I'm a little surprised to see it go all the way into Legacy now.
And it really hasn't taken off until the printing of Leovold, when the format just got a lot more fair. Just fights on. There's a lot more Snapcaster Mages right now. Snapcaster Kolaghan's Command. It's very taxing on your mana for Legacy, but the value is important in enough matchups. Particular if it's a Delver Mirror, it kills something and then gets another card. And there's not actually a lot of cards that are played that generate card advantage in Legacy.
Well,
it's a lot more about selection. Well, I guess Brainstorm is just so good.
Brainstorm's good, but I mean, when you're limited to playing 1 and 2 mana cards, for the most part, there aren't that many 2-for-1s at those costs.
Right.
You know, that's why Snapcaster Mage is just so good.
Well, also, the thing is, you win enough games with card left over in your hand playing Brainstorm because your filtering is so powerful. Card advantage doesn't make sense until the format just becomes about that by matchups.
Second Deathrite Shaman from Ryan, and he says go. Emma will start by Chain Lightninging a Shaman. Now, here's something. Ryan tapped his Badlands instead of tapping his Sea. If he had left red up, he actually could chain back at Emma.
Yeah, you could use the Shaman plus the land.
Yeah, he's going to go ahead and use the Shaman to Spell Pierce this Chain Lightning regardless. Just trying to save his creature. That'll work. Emma swings for 2 thanks to Prowess. And then looks like she's going to cast a copy of Delver of Secrets. No green mana yet for Kierstead. He has it off his Deathrite Shamans, but it's 1 time only. There's only 1 land in the graveyards right now. Looks like, though, he's got some other options in hand. Emma missed a land drop, so now he's debating on his lands. He's got a copy of Wasteland.
And with 2 Deathrite Shamans in play, that Wasteland is very inviting.
Looks like Baleful Strix, Wasteland. And then he's got a red card. Could be a Pyroblast or a Lightning Bolt. Looks like Pyroblast. True Name Nemesis.
The Eternal Masters Pyroblast.
Yeah. A little surprised to see True Name still in the deck at this point. I guess he needs some win con, but I wouldn't. He's got 2 in the main. I wouldn't be surprised if he went down on cut some number of that card.
Emma's deck is very able to kill all of his other threats.
So he may just need it. He's going to go ahead and cast True Name using his Deathrite. He actually does not Wasteland Emma. He says go.
See, in Emma's holding, she has a Fire Blast.
This is a red deck, not a blue deck. Delver, I don't think Emma's Delvers have ever flipped in the feature match area, and now they're not going to start today.
Like a Scalding Tarn was a pickup, so that at least insulates her against the Wasteland.
Yeah, that actually is nice.
It can control her draw on the following turn as well.
Got Lightning Bolt, Scalding Tarn. She's got a 4-card hand. So, plays Tarn. That one, they will know is the pickup for the turn.
Mm-hmm.
Might just be multiple Lightning Bolts. It's
a lot of red cards.
A fist of red cards, yeah. But just a swing for 1. There's only 1 damage for Storm Chaser Mage.
For now.
Is that
10 a.m. standard, your round 3 pairings are posted. Once again, 10 a.m. standard, your round 3 pairings are posted.
And
Ryan says, sure, am I just taking 1?
his Pyroblast can just kill Storm Chaser Mage. That is a blue card.
I'm just going to go ahead and fetch here. So won't be able to control her draw step next turn. You'd mentioned it's not a great control. It's you look at the top card with Delver, and then before you draw it, if it's a bad card, you crack your fetch.
That's pretty much what Delver of Secrets does most commonly in Modern, is let you shuffle away the land on top of your deck.
That's why it's not good in Modern.
Hey man, that's not what I said.
It's not good in Modern. It needs Brainstorm. Oh, we're fire blasting. That's what's happening. Love it. 4 upstairs. Prowess on the Storm Chaser Mage. Take some damage. 10. We're going to go to 8. How about Price of Progress? Wait, she's going for... That's a lot of damage. So this... Okay, so the Fire Blast puts Ryan down to 10. Let's start doing some math here. This Price of Progress is going to do at least 4.
It's currently for 6. He'll need to fetch in response. He'll need to find a basic if he doesn't want to take a full 6, but he'll be taking 5 because the fetch land does cost him a life.
And then the Storm Chaser Mage would be 3 more. He'd go to 2. Cool. Yes, this is a burn deck. Burn you. If Emma's Delver had flipped this turn, this would be lethal. It's still really close, and I think her last card's a Lightning Bolt, so this all makes sense.
And the Delver is still on the table. And what's nice about this is the Price of Progress now, it disincentivizes Ryan to find Tropical Island.
Yes, but he wants to find it because he wants to gain life.
Exactly. He'll have to use both Deathrite Shamans to gain 2 life at a time with the current mana base.
Right, 1 makes green, 1 exiles a creature. And Ryan's going to go ahead and Pyroblast the Storm Chaser Mage.
Well, Emma's last card is Lightning Bolts. That's going to happen.
Right. Looks like she was hoping to have lethal this turn. It's not quite. But it's still very close. If her Delver flips next turn, that's lethal. Just going to go ahead and cast Lightning Bolt now. And Ryan's going to scoop up cards here.
Emma's facial expression is the, I just stole that one. That's what that look is right there.
So, this is an interesting one. How to do a face? Yes.
Did I just win? Yes, Emma, you did. We're going to game 3.
You did. We're going to game 3. You need to not let your opponent know that that's happened. There's a lot of skill in this. Okay. So, you'll see good players do this. I remember one of the things I had really a hard time doing is this kind of play. Last weekend, I had to play a Pithing Needle, a Krark Clan Ironworks, like a play that doesn't work, right? And it was like, oh man, I need to not let him know. Just did it on turn 1, right? I'm like, how do I not let him know that doesn't work? Okay, just look normal, just go with it. Amazon Grid, yeah. I don't think that was lethal, so at least it wasn't by my count.
It's only lethal if Price of Progress resolved and he fetched after the fact. That's the only point where we could have possibly had a discrepancy in life totals, but I can't imagine that's what happened.
No, that was right. Yeah, he fetched beforehand, so he was a little short.
He was dead to flip Delver, but he could have gained 2 life with double Shaman. I think it was just a misunderstanding of the game state.
Well, as long as Emma doesn't say you're dead, which she didn't, just says Lightning Bolt you.
Yep.
Okay. We're going to game 3, though. 21 minutes remain in the round. Blue-Red Prowess versus 4-color Control. Okay, so Ryan knows now that this is more of a burn deck. I mean, he just got Fire Blasted in Price of Progress.
And
so that
Chain
was
Lightning done turn 1.
So that was a bit of an expensive lesson, but now he knows it going into the 3rd game. Does that make other cards more appealing? Maybe something like a Flusterstorm, Umezawa's Jite.
Flusterstorm is very reasonable. You could have fought over multiple spells on that turn there, would have countered the Price of Progress, the Lightning Bolt, all that stuff. The way that played out, he had a very significant mana advantage. She could have played and equipped a GT, and certainly if Emma's just going upstairs with Chain Lightning, it makes you relatively confident you'll be able to successfully equip that. So the GT does look pretty nice if you can make it happen. At this point in time, should be pretty convinced that the Marsh casualties is not going to matter.
Yeah.
That one, it can still kill a Delver, and he is on the play, so that can come up.
Yeah, he's on the play this game, so there's some options there. I wonder if it's enough on his radar that he realizes that Emma has Sulfuric Vortexes now as well.
Turn 1 Chain Lightning usually goes hand in hand with Vortex.
Right.
And he already has Abrupt Decay. That's just going to be a catch-all.
He's certainly not boarding him out. Emma's got a lot of things to kill.
It could incentivize recoil. And on the play, you have more mana. It's more likely that you can relevantly recoil. And Emma's kind of, she was empty-handed at the end of that game.
So we are covering Legacy all day today and all day tomorrow. Now we, of course, during the week we'll have the recap of the entire event over on our YouTube page. This is youtube.com/StarCityGames. You can check in for all the latest on the SCG Tour there, including full videos of all of our open weekends, as well as our Versus series, where our top in-house players showcase matchups in a variety of formats, all the way from Standard, Modern, and even sometimes Commander. We have Magic Online playtesting, our split-second series, and a whole lot more. It's free to subscribe over at youtube.com/StarCityGames. You're ready for a third game. This is Ryan will be on the play.
Certainly advantageous to be on the play with your Deathrite Shaman deck, certainly against a burn deck.
So you'd expect in this matchup that Emma would have boarded out her copies of Force of Will. How do you feel about Daze in the matchup?
On the play, it's a lot better than on the draw. Sometimes there's matchups where you do that. Daze does not seem significant against a Deathrite Shaman deck. Certainly on the draw, it would make sense to board that out.
Land and go from Ryan. So Emma will take a look at his hand. We have a copy of Lightning Bolt, a copy of Spell Pierce. Those are his 1 mana cards. He's got a Snapcaster Mage, a Kolaghan's Command, and then lands number 2 and 3. A lot of good answers.
Mm-hmm.
So whether Emma has a creature or a spell on turn 1, Ryan does have it covered between Lightning Bolt and Spell Pierce.
I'd be surprised to see a Spell Pierce on anything that Emma's casting turn 1, but he does have that anyway.
Hey, she Chain Lightninged him turn 1 last game.
I wouldn't pierce that one from 20, but it is an option.
Land and go from Ryan. Well, that's interesting, right? So against a burn deck, you might make that play, but against maybe not. You're too worried about Vortex.
Oh, it's just that from 20 until your opponent kills you, they are mulliganing. So the Pierce matters a lot more down the road.
And now so Ryan picked up a Pyroblast. Emma is going to Brainstorm on turn 2 without playing a land into a known Spell Pierce, and Ryan lets it resolve.
Yeah, it looks like she kind of wanted that one to get Spell Pierced.
Yeah, it's either super desperate or she's, it's a bait spell.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to resolve. She puts 2 back. At least 1 Chain Lightning or Lightning Bolt here. Now she'll go Chain Lightning upstairs. All right. You going to pierce this? We'll see.
With the patience that Ryan exhibited in the face of flipped Delver of Secrets in game 1, I'd be pretty surprised to see a Pierce here.
Would you fetch for Badlands and bolt her back?
No. no, I would not. Good question, though. Thanks for asking.
I'll show you who the burn player is.
2 can play at that game.
Just a 3rd land and a go by Ryan. So now Emma will cast Monastery Swift Spear. This isn't to a known Lightning Bolt. Cast Cataxian Probe. Emma down to 16. So we'll see the additions. He's got that Pyroblast. It looks like another Snapcaster Mage as well. At some point, he's going to want to start casting these spells, but...
And with letting this probe happen and not bolting, that means there's 1 prowess trigger on the
Swift
Spear.
Yeah, now I don't want to bolt it anymore.
Right,
because
so he's signing up for at least 2 damage this turn.
And we saw this last game as well. Ryan was max valuing a lot of his cards and giving up a lot of life points to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I like that idea, and in a lot of matchups, I'm pretty in. On this one, I'm not so confident.
The danger against a burn deck is not maximizing your value, it's dying with cards that you could have cast in your hand. Okay, and there was that lightning bolt upstairs. Looks like Ryan's setting up Snapcaster Mage.
Oh, okay, so that's not at Monastery Swiftspear, that's at Emma. All right, if this was our line, Ryan, now how? If we're on this line, go back to that turn. It's like, let's fetch for Badlands and bolt them back.
Well, then he'd have access to Snapcaster Bolt this turn.
This is an interesting line by Ryan. But like I said, if he was going to take this line, then yeah, I'd have done it. I guess he didn't know he wanted to do this plan until Emma cast the second probe. And now she's going to try to go to town. Here's Lightning Bolt upstairs on Ryan. Sure, if he wants to play a burn game, let's see it happen. I'm interested that Kierstead has decided to try to race this game instead of playing control. A swing for 3, a bolt for 3, a swing for 2.
He still has a lot of answer cards in his hand. He's fully capable of playing that control
Yeah,
role,
he's
even
got
giving
multiple
up that
snaps.
one resource. Turns his Snapcaster Mage into a more relevant clock this way.
Yeah, Ryan's going to fetch down to 8 on end step. This still might work, though. You know, he does have lightning bolts, snapcasters. He's going down to 8 for a bit of an unorthodox plan here, but it's close.
And here come the basic lands.
Yep. Okay, respecting the price of progress. Has not gotten his green mana yet. I don't believe no green cards in his hand anyway. So
right.
End step Snapcaster, and we'll see what he bolts. Is it Emma or is it Swiftspear? And it's upstairs. He is racing. She's down to 10. Draws a 4th land. 8 to 8 on the swing. And Emma is stuck on 2 lands. It's not clear that she can win this race.
Yeah, and she only has 2 basic lands as well, so she does not have access to as much options as she might be afforded by having a volcanic island.
Land and go from Ryan. I guess between his hand, between Pyroblast, Spell Pierce, and Snapcaster Mage, he may have her covered.
And he can counter a lot of stuff.
Kolaghan's Command is a burn spell. I'm not sure. It wasn't the plan I expected him to do, but it might work.
If Emma decides that she's behind in the race, she can leave back Swiftspear as a blocker.
Oh, I mean, you're right. When Burn starts playing a control role.
Well, she still has a lot of cards in hand.
Yeah, that's true.
She can go upstairs on her turn and leave back a blocker and potentially win this race.
Chain Lightning from Emma, but she plays a land first. She knows about Spell Pierce. Wise one here. You know, I keep going back, man, there's no double red. If there's a double red in play for Ryan, like, Emma couldn't make this play even. It's kind of gross. You know, she'd Chain Lightning, then Ryan says, does it resolve? Because once it's resolving, he pays, I guess he pays group red and copies it. And Ryan's brainstorming in response. His control cards here are Spell Pierce, Snapcaster Mage, Kolaghan's Command, Pyroblast.
With a brainstorm happening here, I imagine that the card on Ryan's radar is Exquisite Firecraft, and he does not want to dip into a position where that spell just kills him.
Sure. And that resolves. Ryan goes to 5. Pyroblast is great, but doesn't counter the burn that Emma could bring. This swing is going to be for 2.
She's strongly considering leaving back the blocker.
Yeah, not die on the swing back, right? If your opponent has been playing, when you see Ryan playing the game the way he is, Emma needs to be concerned about that.
She knows about a good amount of his hand. She still knows about that Kolaghan's Command, the Spell Pierce. But it's still entirely possible to die from 8.
She's debating whether to try for Brainstorm here. It would get pierced. Instead, she's going to swing Swiftspear for 2.
It does give her +1/+1.
And Ryan's going to flash thin that Snapcaster Mage, targeting Brainstorm. This is the nice thing where you give Brainstorm flashback. You don't cast it until the end of the turn.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a chump blocker. Swiftspear is a 2/3.
And with Emma, she was already considering leaving back the Swift Spear as the blocker, eating that Snapcaster Mage in combat. That's very functionally similar, so she doesn't make a fight over that.
Look at the respect Ryan paid there. He could have used that Brainstorm on end step, but just doesn't. He's not willing to take down Spell Pierce. Not when he's at 5.
Right.
Some good restraint. He'll swing for 2 with Snapcaster, so Emma goes to 6. And you know, despite... Ryan has had trouble getting this Monastery Swift Spear off the table.
Well, here's a mighty fine answer.
Yeah, it's Baleful Strix. There's still that Spell Pierce in Ryan's hand. I'm wondering if Emma can respect the Spell Pierce or whether she's just going to maybe throw a Brainstorm into it on end step or something. She's only on 3 mana. At some point, you know, she might need to power through it.
Well, the previous turn, she kept a Delver of Secrets in her hand. You see the checklist card she's flicking around.
Yeah.
She seems very bent on resolving a Brainstorm and getting that card out of her hand.
I do believe there's an Izzet Staticaster in her hand, which would be great here if it wasn't for the Pyroblast Ryan was holding.
Right. But if she's able to resolve a Brainstorm, she can have as many as 3 lethal spells from that point in the game just off the mana she already has available.
Yeah, it's not even that hard.
It would take 2 of them to be lethal, but she would force 2 counters anyway.
Land from Ryan says go. Emma fetches down to 5, so it's 5 life points each.
And Strix is always a great blocker, but when your opponent's down to 5, it becomes a pretty solid aggressive tool as well.
Sure. Fetching a basic mountain. Yeah, because she knows about Pyroblast and Spell Pierce, I'm interested in how she plays it.
Mm-hmm.
She can't respect both of them and try to play around them both because she'll lose. You see Price of Progress on end step here. Ryan has his choice of counter spells.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with 2 dual lands and a fetch land, that Price is lethal. Got to counter that one.
And he went for Pierce here. I think Emma was trying to bait out the Pyroblast.
Well, you can't Pyroblast a red spell.
Oh, no. Right. Okay, that's less interesting. Right, so he pierces the Price Progress. That would have put him to 1. Storm Chaser Mage is the draw for Emma.
You can Pyroblast that one.
Yeah, she's got Storm Chaser Mage. And is it Staticaster? None of those play. And a little bit of hurt here is that Emma had to get the basic mountain. She did that because of Price of Progress.
Currently, Emma is facing down lethal. We have a 2/1 Snapcaster Mage, 1/1 Baleful Strix, and Kolaghan's Command still in hand. So if everything goes unblocked and the Kolaghan's Command resolves, she's just dead.
Looks like Emma has Exquisite Firecraft in hand, and that's sure is 1 point short. She'll cast it upstairs. And Ryan can't counter. He'll go to 1.
That will turn off the fetch land here.
Yeah, okay, goes 1. We'll see whether or not Emma swings. I guess it doesn't take away her lethal to swing here, but she'll say go, leaving it back as a blocker. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, you're right. Fetch land's gone. He sets that off to the side.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't use that.
Not doing this.
Draws Deathrite Shaman. Would have been good earlier. Kind of a 1-2 right here.
He can cast Kolaghan's Command and Shaman on the same turn. Yeah, so you can just use that Kolaghan's Command to get the Swift Spear off the table. Maybe make Emma discard a card, cast a Shaman. There's a lot of stuff that he's dead to from that position.
Right, because his only counterspell is a Pyroblast, and he's at 1 against a red deck.
He can't Command and Pyroblast on the same turn with what he's currently representing.
Well, he's got Brainstorm in hand, and I think he's going to cast that Fish for some sort of counterspell, right?
Naturally, finding a red source would be reasonable as well, so he could just Kolaghan's Command and leave up Pyroblast.
You know, his draw, if he was at 2, was great here. There's an Umazao's Jite in the top 3. If he has... Yeah, it's just not going to work.
Yeah, you'd need another non-fetch land.
Yeah. I guess he might. I don't believe he's made a land drop this turn, so he
Correct.
could.
If he has a land, he can just do this.
That's not bad. Ponder as well. Also, Snapcaster Mage was picked up. That pairs with the Spell Pierce in his graveyard nicely. With the exception of a card, a Lightning Bolt is insulated from both. He swings for 2 with Snapcaster. Emma blocks, and he says go.
Like that block a lot.
Yeah.
She's already at 5. She's not connecting through the Strix without something that would kill Ryan anyway.
A lightning bolt or an exquisite firecraft will do it here.
And she still has a brainstorm.
Yeah.
She can just lead with that if she doesn't have exactly a lightning bolt.
Well, brainstorm. This is probably going to get the pyroblast from Ryan. Remember, there's a pierce and a pyro. Well, interestingly, there's no pierce. There's a snapcaster mage. So if Ryan pyroblasts a brainstorm, he doesn't have spell pierce up anymore.
That's a problem.
Emma says go.
And she's leaving up, is it Staticaster here? That'll be the bait
Yeah.
spell for the pyroblast anyway.
Now Ryan, okay, yeah, I guess I was wondering if he would just end step cast Snapcaster there. I know it's unexciting, but I kind of liked it.
Well, he'd used so much of his mana, and he's dead to so many things. I like the restraint there. You're right. It is very.
I want to get the clock higher. I
Emma
guess
is at 5.
right, because then he would just have 3. Then he'd have the lethal set up. I mean, yeah, he might die.
And the play here certainly is respecting the fact that maybe Emma only has 1 spell that matters. And as long as he leaves his mana up, he can certainly win that fight.
Yeah, between his blast and his spell pierce, he might just have a lot of blast in the Snapcaster. He may just be able to control the game out.
And if Emma just has 3 spells that matter, what can he even do?
All right, an attack, and Emma flashes in. Is it Staticaster? Does Ryan, I guess,
He might just have to let this one resolve. It can't kill him.
I guess it doesn't deal damage to him.
Emma still has 4 cards in hand.
It's going to blast it. Emma's thrilled that of all the cards to trade with Pyroblast, is it Staticaster. That's a win for Emma. She draws Chain Lightning. I think you just go for it. Here is Storm Chaser Mage. That's a lethal attacker. 1 power, haste in the air. And if Ryan plays Snapcaster Pyroblast on this, the Chain Lightning off the top will win the game for Emma Handy.
Right.
And I believe she has outlasted him here. Really just scraping across that finish line. Yeah, Snapcaster, okay, Snapcaster.
Do your worst.
He doesn't.
He used his red mana already.
Yeah, oh gosh, he can't even blast it.
Yeah, he can't brainstorm into Force of Will, because that one costs a life.
Yeah, that's not even going to do it. I mean, even if he had the red mana, he was dead, and he's dead before that. So Emma Handy, blue-red prowess, she's going to go ahead and win that game off the Storm Chaser Mage and take down the match, improving to 2-0.
And a lot of what you saw there is Emma really understood her role there. You know, she's certainly played more of this matchup than Ryan has.
Yeah,
and Legacy is very much a format that rewards that experience.